Please yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Latta.
Gentleman's recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to our chair of the Energy and Commerce Committee. I rise in support of H.R. 1435, the Preserving Choice in Vehicle Purchase Act, which is legislation I co-led. California Air Resources Board has made the decision to ban the sale of new internal combustion engines by the year 2035. This action is a major component in the state's radical climate agenda that is being forced on their citizens. Normally, the actions of one state would not require a federal response. However, in this case, California's actions extend far beyond their state's borders and will have consequences for all Americans. This is because 17 other states follow California standards representing 40% of the nation's car market. When Congress first set up this process, it never intended for California to be able to dictate to the rest of the country what types of vehicles they can purchase. Instead, Congress wanted to give California additional tools to combat smog levels. To make matters worse, California has not clearly considered the impact these actions will have on the nation's electric grid. As officials from the DOE and FERC confirmed to me this week, we are going to need more power, not less power, in this country to meet consumer demand. If California's governor is already calling on his residents to conserve energy, how to avoid blackouts and brownouts, how in the world will the grid be able to handle the load with millions of additional electric cars? Additionally, the Biden administration is doing nothing to address the problem of assessing all the rare earth minerals that we need to manufacture an all-EV fleet. These materials are controlled by communist China, who will stand to reap the windfall of these policies. H.R. 1435 is a common sense bill because it institutes a check on any state that seeks to exploit the Clean Air Act. The American people are the better arbiters of what vehicles will serve their families' needs, not the bureaucrats with political agendas. And let me be clear, this legislation does not prevent California from being able to obtain a waiver from the U.S. EPA to combat the smog issues, which was the original intent of the CAA. I urge my colleagues to support this common sense legislation, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Hello, friends. Prepare for major changes. Republicans in the House have just failed to advance 2 major spending bills. It is highly likely that a government shutdown will be occurring in just a few days. Democrats are demanding new provisions to be excluded from the bill in order to reach an agreement. The Biden administration may have to take executive action. My dear friends, please do me a big favor and watch until the end of this video. Also, this Friday, I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter these weekly giveaway, friends, please click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, my friends, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways. Republicans who control the U.S. House of Representatives failed to advance 2 spending bills yesterday as party infighting threatened the ability of Congress to fund the government and avert a partial shutdown at the end of this month. The House voted 214 to 212 to defeat a measure that would have open debate on an $886 billion fiscal 2024 defense appropriation bill, with 5 hardline Republican conservatives joining Democrats to oppose their party's own measure. Meanwhile, our larger division within House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's Republican majority prevented lawmakers from agreeing on a short-term measure to keep federal agencies afloat. After funding expires on September 30th, Speaker McCarthy has been unable to win cooperation from hardliners who want assurances that fiscal 2024 appropriations will not exceed a 2022 top line of $1.47 trillion. That is $120 billion less than Speaker McCarthy and Democratic President Joe Biden agreed to this past May. Political brinkmanship has begun to attract the attention of Wall Street. Republican Representative Tom Cole, chair of the House Rules Committee, expressed frustration with a small minority of his own party who voted against the measure known as a rule. Representative Cole said, "There's nothing in there that anybody has a problem with. They're just working out whatever their issues are on this bill and on this rule, and I think that's very unfortunate." The House and the Democratic-led Senate have less than 2 weeks to avoid a shutdown by passing either short-term or long-term funding measures. Even if House Republicans had been able to advance a defense bill or the short-term measure, either would face stiff opposition from congressional Democrats and from the White House, which has already threatened to veto the defense bill. Tuesday's House vote failed in a harsh session, with Democrats criticizing Republican leaders as they tried to persuade holdouts to change their minds before finally giving up. The House vote came hours after Speaker McCarthy delayed a key procedural vote on a 30-day stopgap measure known as continuing resolution. The California Republican said he wanted to give lawmakers adequate time to reach agreement on the legislation. The continuing resolution faces opposition from more than a dozen Republican hardline conservatives, enough to block its path forward in the House. The continuing resolution would keep federal agencies afloat until October 31st, 2023, and cut discretionary spending by about 8% for agencies outside of defense, Veterans Affairs, and disaster relief. Faced with a looming September 30th deadline, lawmakers have begun to discuss other options for keeping the government funded, with Democratic Senator Patty Murray, who heads a chamber's Appropriations Committee, informing reporters that she was working on a bipartisan continuing resolution. A bipartisan House group that calls itself the Problem Solvers Caucus is also working on a backup. While the latest numbers show an easing in some measures of inflation, despite a spike in gas prices, some cities have seen larger increases than others over the past year. The Consumer Price Index was up 3.7% in August over the previous year, an increase from the 3.2% annual pace in July. However, when adjusted to filter out more volatile categories, such as food and energy, inflation growth actually slowed from 4.7% in July to 4.3% in August, year over year. This slowing of so-called core prices suggests that inflation is coming under control, but at a more gradual pace than the government had hoped for. Well, my magnificent and most marvelous friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for today. This Friday, friends, and every Friday, I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter these weekly giveaway, friends, please make sure that you click and like several of my videos, and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, dear friends, the greater your chances of winning these giveaways. Thank you, and have a wonderful and very blessed week.